Welcome to the Starfish Diaries. I am your host, Liz McKean, and you might have found me from another podcast or from yoga or through coaching or maybe a recovery event, but all that matters is that you're here now, and I am so glad that you're here. On this show, we're going to be talking about identity and self-trust and recovering from all sorts of things, including shame and burnout and squeezing ourselves into what we think good looks like. And I'm going to use a lot of metaphors because that's how I make sense of the world. And I'm hoping that helps you too. I'm really just here to remind you and honestly remind us that there is no such thing as doing life wrong and that you do get to make your life into a place that you want to be. And we're going to figure it out together. So let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Starfish Diaries. I have been thinking about changing the name of this podcast because... Sorry to just have done that poppy noise in your ear. Because diaries, I'm just thinking if I come across a podcast that has diaries in the name, I'm going to think that it is that person's, like, their personal experience, stories from their life, which would be, fun to listen to in a lot of cases. But that's not really what this podcast is about. It is certainly drawing from my own experience. But I feel like diaries might not be the right word. I named it after a blog I had a long time ago, which I loved. Anyways, if you have any ideas for names, I feel like I would want to keep Starfish in it, and maybe I won't change it at all, but if you have any ideas, let me know. Send me a little note-a-rooney. Anyways, before we get started in today's convo, let's just not change things up at all and take a few deep breaths. So wherever you are, if you're able to let a little tension go, maybe shake out your arms, let your head rock side to side, whatever you can do. And, you can even close your eyes if you're in a place that's safe. Obviously, if you're driving, do not. Wherever you are, whenever you're ready, with me, if you please, take a deep breath in through the nose and out with a sigh. Good job. Big breath in. See if you can double the length of this exhale. Maybe the shoulders start to melt. Last one we're going to hold. Biggest breath you've got. Hold at the top. What does it feel like to swallow while you're holding that breath? And then blow it out like you're blowing candles. Yeah, I guess we did change it up a little bit. Anyway, thanks for breathing with me. Thanks for being with me. I want to do a little bit of a follow-up episode. So last episode was the problem with rock bottom promises. I referenced a Friends episode because, when you can, why wouldn't you? And I have been thinking a lot about the solution to rock bottom promises. And just like anything, there's no such thing as a across-the-board solution. Like everything is nuanced. So I will probably title it that. But hear my caveat here. I am not saying that I have the solution to everyone's problems. But I think, a lot of times we think that the solution to a problem that we are presenting, like, for example, somebody comes to me for coaching or hypnosis, and they're like, my problem is I can't stop biting my cuticles or my nails, or both, if you're like me. And actually, I don't bite them. I pick them. I'll pick. Oh, it's so annoying. Anyways, they're like, I can't stop doing that. So the solution will be for me to stop doing that. And to that I say, agree to disagree. Or maybe we'll agree that we agree with that I'm right after I finish talking about this, if I do my job right. So I don't think the difference between doing the thing you don't want to do that you feel like you're not making a choice about anymore, that habit kind of stuff that you want to break, versus not is the dichotomy. I think what actually is the solution, quote unquote, I'm using my little quote fingers, is a pause, so that it's the choice. It's the presence or not presence. Oh my God, what is the word? Sorry that you're yelling it at the microphone right now and I can't hear you, of a pause, of the choice. Because if you think about it, if you're doing a thing that you feel like you're not even deciding to do anymore, whether that's picking at your cuticles or smoking a cigarette, picking up a drink, eating until you're uncomfortably full. Like after you do that, my guess is that you're so mad at yourself and also kind of baffled, right? I remember the times that I would be walking down the hall to my home, my apartment, with a bottle that I had bought, and I knew how this was going to end. It was going to be bad. I knew it was not a good choice. I knew. But I was doing it anyways. And it was like, I was like floating outside of myself, watching myself do this anyways. It was before the thing had been done, but I was like, I just seems to have like that part of me that knows is not running the show. The part of me that's running the show is this is what has to happen. There's no other, like this, it's already been put in motion. The die have already been cast kind of thing. And it's not untrue. Like there are the sequence of events. There is some kind of trigger that, we overuse that word, but there's something that kind of starts the sequence, right? Whether that's a big stressful thing or a tiny little thing, or maybe even just thought, who knows? And then there is like this reaction immediately of a feeling, a stress hormone or whatever. And then your brain just goes straight to that solution. It's like something rolling downhill. And by the time I'm walking down the hall with that bottle that I've, gone to the store and bought and everything, like that, to stop that, if I was to look just at that time, that moment, like that's like trying to stop a heavy thing that's rolling down a hill. Like that takes a lot of work, a lot of energy. It's not impossible, but fuck, like I have lost my window of choice, and these things become so automatic that window is like you don't even notice, you don't see it. It's so quick. So like the solution, in my, humble opinion here, is inserting a pause where that window is. And then, because the thing is, obviously for me, if you've been listening, you probably know this, like stopping drinking, never being in a position where I was going to buy that bottle again was necessary. Like absolutely the right thing is for me to be like, never again. But I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody. And certainly when it comes to like picking at your fingers or, eating till you're really full, whatever, like there's shit like that you're going to do. And it's not, it's not the end of the world. And also there will be times you want to do that. This is the best meal I ever had. I don't want to stop eating it until I absolutely can't have another bite. And I'm going to feel great about that afterwards, or like, I want to pick this little cuticle thing because it feels good and whatever. I'm just kind of bored right now. Or I'm excited about something and like, whatever. I don't want to take away a thing that you're doing just because you feel out of control about it in a moment. That there is such a thing as harm reduction in all areas of our lives. So the goal is choice, and choice requires a pause, and a pause requires like an understanding of where there's even an opportunity for a pause. Like, right, like what is the moment before that? I don't know. I'm picturing like a big giant ball gets like pushed down a hill and starts rolling and gaining speed. So, and the interesting thing is, I don't think, at least in my experience, that is something that can even be consciously, at least not easily, figured out. It's like, do you ever hear somebody say this before? I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, so I would love to know where this came from. But like, you can't figure out your brain with your brain kind of thing, where we actually do, like everything we know about brains comes from people's brains. But it's like the same kind of thing as, I can't fix my broken arm with the broken arm. And when it comes to something that has already bypassed the conscious part of my brain, the part that I'm like in control of, it's already bypassed that. So the conscious part of my brain is not gonna be able to see, like it's been on purpose hidden from my conscious brain where that begins. So, being able to get into a state, and obviously I'm talking a lot about hypnosis just because that's my jam, but there's certainly other ways to go through healing. And there's lots of modalities out there to find, your automatic processes and get to a place that you're comfortable with. But in my, a little ideal world for me, it's like I want to get into the subconscious. I want to allow myself to be so relaxed and comfortable that I have access to that subconscious mind, so that when I am reminding myself that I'm safe, that I'm okay, that it's okay to pause, that having a big feeling does not have to be, a big giant event that then triggers another event, that there's, other tools that I can reach for if I'm feeling a certain way. Like just those little messages that need to get under the surface in order to actually matter when the big feeling happens, when the event happens. Because then, like what the opposite of what me walking down the hallway being like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this again, how did that even happen, would be probably several days prior, when the first thought popped into my head of like, I haven't drank for a long time. I think I'm okay now. I think I probably could do this again. And instead of that immediately triggering this like giant craving, and then now that is just a loop that's repeating for the next 2 days, instead of that, there's like a wall that comes down that says like, okay, pause, so that I can notice that I even had that thought. Because back in the day, I remember going through like an outpatient treatment and having them talk about, cravings and how they start days before, weeks before, months before the actual, quote, I hate this word, but relapse would happen. And I remember being like, I don't not believe you, but also like, I'm not noticing when that's happening. And when I got to the point that I was, doing yoga and started to like myself and started to want to have, different options for me and started to create new tools that I could use to feel better when I was struggling, it was only then that I started to notice when the thought would pop into my head. And I didn't always stop it. Sometimes I let that loop happen and, I didn't know it was happening, but I'm just able to be aware when the triggering event happens. And again, like a lot of times that event was internal, it was a thought. And now there's a lot of things that I can point to that absolutely, like I know, I have an idea of probably where the window is, where the pause is that I need to put in. I don't have it figured out yet. I haven't done it. I haven't, made the subconscious shifts that I would like to for things like not picking up my phone first thing in the morning. There's some other things that are driving me crazy that I've been doing lately. I'm not going to go down this whole line of things that I'm mad at myself about right now, because it's been a beat up on myself kind of day in my brain, and I don't think it's helpful to continue to marinate in that. So there are plenty of things. I'm not saying that like you figure this out and then you never have another automatic process or have it again. What I am saying is chew on the possibility that it's not just, the solution is to just not do the thing anymore. And chew on the possibility that making those promises in that rock bottom moment sucks, because often we break those promises to ourselves. But that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or you're doing it wrong. And that doesn't mean that the answer is to stop doing the thing, because we've already proven to ourselves that there's some automation happening that we need to address. So like where can we find that pause? Where is that window? So that whether or not you're going to do the thing that you were going to do, if it was on that automatic process, you at least get to have a choice. Because you deserve to have a choice. And we have a lot of choices taken away from us. I think this is used against us so much. I'm thinking about the way advertisements come at us from our phones, honestly, the hypnotic way advertisements come at us from every screen that we have, and the messages that are constantly being just shot into our ears and eyeballs while we are in this very chill, mesmerized state. So we're taking in stuff that we might not even actually agree with on a conscious level, So it's being used in that way. And I think, just like with everything, the first step is to have a level of awareness. And if there's something that is making us feel like shit, that we think that we can change and would feel better if we changed it, I guess my thought is that maybe we need to feel better first, and then we can change it. Because if we feel better first, then we can find the pause. There's no world in which I was going to not take that bottle down the hallway and go into the apartment and drink it without having at least the inkling in my head that I had another option that would make me feel better. The other option couldn't be go into the house, throw away the bottle, go sit on the couch and feel this way. Just feel it. Which was often the message that I was given. Just gotta feel it. You gotta just feel through it. You can't numb. And that was like not going to work for me. Because I was like, the problem is once I feel this way, I'm screwed. And because that was the story in my head, it was true. So the first thing I needed was to even come at this problem from a place of feeling okay, feeling not worked up, feeling not like I need something to make me feel better. So feeling better. And usually that happened on the yoga mat. Just taking in messages about how I'm not a terrible person, how I am okay, how I can get back to this place anytime I need to, if I need to just relax. And yeah, and then maybe the thought wouldn't come up at all that wouldn't it be nice to drink? Or if it did, it would sound ridiculous because why? I'm good. And this is obviously incredibly simplified, and you can't have this conversation about something as complex as addiction, certainly in 17 minutes, and have it be in the same conversation as chewing on your cuticles. I am quite aware of that, but I think it's worth bringing my very real life example into this conversation, just to, I don't know, just to share my diary with you. Okay, this is to the depth that I wish to go to today, and I want to talk more about this in the coming weeks, about this idea of a pause, and because I just think it's the most exciting thing about the work that I've been doing, for myself personally, and that I'm excited to share externally, is work that invites in this pause, because it allows for choice. And choice, having access to choices, is my number one value. So if you feel similarly, or feel intrigued, or just like having somebody talking in your ear while you're out for your walk, then I hope you join me, because we're going to talk about this more. And as I kind of organize my thoughts around it, as you can tell, we're in the early stages of how to weave this tale, then, there'll be more and more action steps that I will be delighted to offer you. So for now, what I will offer you is a few breaths. And I also would suggest you relax your jaw, because why not, right? And when you're ready, take a deep breath in through your nose. And out with a big sigh. Make some noise. Good job. Relax your shoulders. Big breath in. Can you double that exhale? Yeah. tell your body that it's okay to soften. Last one, big breath in. Hold at the top. Maybe a swallow. Maybe a smile. And let it out. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I hope that this at least, I don't know, made you feel a little intrigued about this stuff, because I think it's fascinating the way our brains work, and I can't wait to talk to you more about it next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Starfish Diaries. I want to take a quick moment to thank some of the people who have made this possible. The artwork that I am so in love with is by my friend and the most talented artist, Mo Houston, and you can find her and her work and work with her by going to Joy Scout Studios. I will have that linked in the show notes. And thank you to my incredible editor, Sean Gritters. If you are looking for production support with your podcast, highly recommend that you check him out. His information will also be in the description.